Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Plot podcast. I'm excited to bring you this bonus episode with the amazing author, Lulu Morris. Lulu Morris is also known as Lucy Morris. She previously has written in historical romance, but she's now stepping into the subgenre that is contemporary rom-com, with her debut novel being released on the 15th of January called The Dating Pact. I'm so excited to bring you Lulu's story. We step into how she first started writing, how she went out to submission, how she obtained a publisher, and what made her want to start writing in a subgenre. So tune in, sit back, listen. Remember to subscribe, like, share with families, friends, colleagues. Keep spreading the word of this podcast and the amazing authors that I get to speak to, and enjoy hearing Lulu's story. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Hi, Lulu. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Hi, how are
I
you?
am very well. Very cold. I mean, I don't know whether it's snowing where you are, but we've had it for the past few days. It's kind of eased off a bit now, but have you had some?
No, I live just kind of just outside of
Yeah.
London. So, well, I say outside of London, we still have London buses, but you know. But yeah, so it's quite nice and it's sunny, but really
Yes.
cold, like frosty.
Yeah.
I've had to like de-ice my car, take the de-ice it to get back home
I
again.
know, it's crazy. I literally got in my car this morning and I could just see my own breath, and I was like, yeah, I think it was like -3 at that time, but yeah, I kind of like it though, because we don't get it very often, so I try and embrace it and yeah, enjoy it. Well, thank you for joining the podcast. I'm very excited to have you on because I know you've got a long history, and I'm excited to kind of hear how your journey started and obviously how you're transitioning now with, with a new genre. But before we step into that, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes, sure. So, my name is Lulu Morris, and I write. I've got my first debut coming out, The Dating Pact, which is a rom-com, contemporary rom-com. And before that, under Lucy Morris, I wrote historical romances for Mills and Boon, which are also called Harlequin in the North America. And I've done that since I think my first book was out in 2020, or maybe 2021. I'm not quite sure. So I've written about 10 historical romances for them, and this will be my first trade full length modern rom-com. So I'm really excited for it. So bit of a change of pace for me.
Yeah, and I'm excited to actually hear kind of what made you do that and whether it's been something that you've wanted to do for a while. So you just mentioned there your first novel came out about 2021.
Yeah, I think it came out in 2021. I got my contract with Mills and Boon in 2020. And they offered me a 2-book contract, and then I just kind of had a rolling contract with them.
Mate, so you've released 10 already, right? Excluding the Dating
Yeah.
Pact?
Yeah, so I think with the Dating Pact it might be 11 or 12. Wow. It's difficult because like Mills and Boon, like I don't always, some of my ones I got some Vikings. And they're less popular apparently at the moment. Who knew? Sad times for Vikings. So they have sometimes been released just in North America and in foreign translations, but not necessarily released. I think you can get them on ebook, but you can't really get shops in the UK. So so I get a bit kind of like, I sound really daft, like I can't count, but it's because like I'm like, how many actually? Because I don't know, like, do you count the ones that get only published in North America?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, count any that are released anywhere. But that's crazy. So you must be writing what, about on average around 2 a year since?
Yeah, so I think the first my first contract I wrote 2 a year, then I wrote 3 a year. And I have done, last year was hard work. Because I got my Canelo, which is part of Penguin Random House. I got that contract. And that's a 3-book contract. I think I worked on 6 projects in
Oh my
total last year.
gosh.
Not writing from start to finish,
Yeah.
but editing, drafting, those stages. So I guess I mean Mills and Boon call me a prolific writer, but I don't feel like that. I just feel like a stressed writer. I don't know.
Do you work better under
Weird.
pressure, do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I hate to say it, but I do work well with a
Yeah.
deadline, and I do. I wouldn't say like I'm not somebody that writes. I know some authors who do, who can write like 20,000 words like in a
Yeah.
weekend. Um, I'm not that. I'm like the kind of the tortoise that wins the
Okay.
race. Like work, but I work consistently, so I work kind of every day pretty
Yeah.
much, and do it 1,500 to 2,000 words each day.
Wow.
But then I'm lucky, like I'm a full-time
Yeah.
writer. So, yeah, so that's kind of it
It's
really.
exciting. And I wanna step into that a little bit more, but I'm intrigued actually because your journey started, what, we're in 2026 now, so like 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, you must have been writing prior to that. So when did it kind of start? And then what did it look like between, being not published to going to be
yeah.
published?
I've always enjoyed
Mm.
writing, but I've never felt confident with it. I'm really bad at spelling. I'm really bad at grammar. So when I went to like scraped into university, I was glad that I was doing like I did theatre, film, and
Mm.
TV. I liked writing like essays about creative
Yeah.
stuff, and I enjoyed acting at the time, and I still like I think I went into more like acting and
Mhm.
performance because I wasn't confident in my writing skills, um, which is ironic, really. Um, and then I kind of finished uni, and then I just kind of got like random jobs.
Yeah.
Like I worked at magazine
Okay.
publishing, but not as a writer. I was the production manager for like B2B
Yeah.
magazines, like Factors
Mhm.
Weekly, like nothing exciting. And I just kind of was basically admin. I've got good organizational skills and things like that. And then I had my children, and funnily enough, I quit my job to have my kids because it didn't make financial sense to like. Also, my company decided to relocate to like Surrey,
Okay.
and I was like, "Great, I get that." But yeah, thanks. Um, while I was 9 months pregnant, so I was like, "Oh yeah, this is working out well." So it didn't make sense to kind of go back to my previous job. But I was going mad, like as a stay-at-home
Mm.
mum. I had my first child, my daughter, and then I fell pregnant with my son really
Yeah.
quickly. So yeah, so it was that sort of. I had two under two, and I think they had like a nap time
Yeah.
at the same time. I had that golden time where they had a nap time at the same time. And I just thought, you know what, if I can give birth to 2 kids and like do, you know, that,
Mm.
which is such hard
Yeah.
work, I kind of thought, you know what is to stop me actually just trying to do a dream, like trying to do
Yeah.
something? And I did it very secretly at first, secret writer. I kind of just got my laptop out when my kids were napping, and I think I started. So yeah, my son was born in 2015. So I think about 2016, 2017, I was sneakily doing some writing. I had an idea for like a really naff like sci-fi romance. I've always loved romance. I've always
Yeah.
read
Same.
the romance. Love. So I was writing that. And do you know what? For once, I actually finished a book. Like I've kind of started
Yeah.
things before, but never actually finished it. It was absolutely rubbish. But I was very eager, and I sent it out to publishers and anyone's that take unsolicited and things like that, and a few agents and things like that. Had no interest because, quite rightly. And I actually, funnily enough, I sent it. I was on Twitter, and I sent it to somebody, and for like advice. I think they were part of like a women supporting women writers. Um, and through all that, she was really lovely. She came back and she said, "I think you just need to learn how to plot," which sounds really rude. But she was so right. It was like
Yeah.
it didn't have a beginning, it didn't really have a middle, and it didn't really have an end. It had no character
Yeah.
arcs, and it had no. So it was really rubbish. But it really gave me the confidence, because I was like, actually, I can finish a book. So I finished my book, and then I started getting involved with people on Twitter who were also writers, and I found the Romantic Novelists
Yeah.
Association, which I absolutely love and has made me. So I joined their new writers scheme, and I wrote another book, and then I kind of started looking at publishers that could kind of take unsolicited, and Mills and Boon are one of the few that
Yeah.
do. I think it's more now. Like there's more now, but like at that time there was very few
Mhm.
publishers that would take unsolicited. So I kind of did the whole like sending them a first couple of chapters. I think I tried for their Dare line, and then through friendships with the RNA, I met somebody called Virginia Heath, who writes historical romance. And she was a really good, a lovely, supportive lady, and like encouraged me to come to RNA chapters, and then encouraged me onto the NWS. And I decided, do you know what? Rather than writing silly first three chapters of stuff and constantly sending off, I actually had like an epiphany, and I was like, well, I think the problem with me writing like a couple of first chapters is that I don't know how the story's going to go.
Yeah.
And actually, you change your first couple of chapters when you write. And I'm not a
Yeah.
plotter. So it's this sort of kind of, I don't plot my books out. So do need to actually write a book, and then kind of edit
Yeah.
it. So, wrote my, so I think that would have been my third ever book that I'd written, or maybe no, third ever book ever written, because I think I wrote two sci-fis at
Yeah.
first. Yes. Um, and then yeah, my third book was a Viking
Yeah.
romance, because I thought, you know, I'm going to really target Mills and
Yeah.
Boon. I'm going to write what they
Yeah.
want, and I'm going to do an age in history that I find really fascinating, and I've always loved Viking
Yeah.
mythology and things like that. So I wrote that, sent it off, and this is where the RNAs really helped me. Is they have a conference
Yeah.
every year
Mhm.
where they do, like, one-to-ones with
Yeah.
editors, and a new writers scheme. I know I sound like I'm evangelicizing them, but I'm one of their directors now. I love it. And I had this book in the NWS. I had a meeting set up with one of the
Mhm.
editors, because I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll get some feedback to see, and then I can always tweak it.
Yeah.
Uh, so I met with an editor, Linda Fildew, and I think this was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like all online and stuff. And she was like, I've read your first chapter. And I was like, oh, great, wonderful. And then she was like, and I've also, because you mentioned that you'd already submitted, I've gone in and read your first three chapters
Oh,
as
wow.
well. Like, oh, that's good. Is it? Is it good? And she was like, yes, I love it. Can you send me the full when it's ready? And I was like, well, funny you say that. You have a full. She's like, fabulous, send it over. And I think within 3 months after that meeting, I had a contract with
Amazing.
them. So it was really good. So they get offered me a 2 book contract with that. And then funnily enough, my Canelo again is thanks to RNA, because I had again their conference, and their one-to-ones are actually open to everyone who's a
Yeah.
member. So I did, even as a published writer, you kind of sometimes want to try different things.
Yes.
And I did. So I kind of then did a one-to-one pitching this book that I'd written, that was actually the fourth book that I've ever written, The Dating
Yeah.
Pact. It was the fourth book I'd ever written, but I kind of put it in a drawer after I'd got my
Yeah.
contract. Boon. So that time, those 3-4 months where I was waiting to hear from Mills and Boon whether they liked the full, I wrote this book.
Wow.
Because I thought, do you know what? I'll just write something completely different.
Yeah.
Um, And so I put that in a drawer and I thought I dusted it off and I did a little bit of tweaking and editing and then sent that to and got one-to-ones with a few publishers and a couple of agents. And Emily Bedford at Canelo was really interested in it and asked for the full. So
Amazing.
yeah, so it was
What?
good.
Because you started, obviously, you obviously sent to Mills and Boon, and you said, okay, I'm going to focus on them specifically. Had you? I mean, you'd written two sci-fis before, and then obviously you went into the Vikings. Did you find that quite challenging, or was it like quite natural for you?
No. Do you know what? When I say I love romance, I really
Yeah,
do. Like all subgenres. I love monster
yeah,
romance. I love sci-fi. I love contemporary romance. I love historical romance. Like as long as it's got romance in it, I'm more than
yeah,
happy. So actually, no. Like I think I wrote sci-fi because I wasn't confident. Ironically, I wasn't confident about world
yeah,
building. But if I make my own world
yeah,
up, it's easier, isn't it?
yeah.
Is what I thought.
No,
Um,
no compare. People can't compare it, can they? They can't say, "Well, that's not
that
right." Well,
yeah, and I can't have, who I call the history police. I
Yes.
can't have a history person
Very true.
come tell that actually, custard creams weren't invented until
Yeah,
1872 or something. So I thought it was kind of easier, but like generally I just love all the subgenres.
yeah,
I love that there's like a slightly different voice that you can kind of use for each of them.
yes.
So with my historical romances, even they vary a tiny
Mhm.
bit because I've written Vikings, but I've also written Regency, so like
Yeah,
Austen times sort of
yeah.
things. So Regency is a lot more polite, it's a lot more
Mm,
kind of it's a touch and kind of that's very meaningful
yeah,
and slow burn. You can have fast burns, obviously, but yeah, there's a different way of talking, a different way of looking at the world. Whereas Viking, I find quite freeing because I love the mythology, so I know kind of the basis of
yeah.
the mythology. And I did a lot of research, and I enjoy reading nonfiction. Weird, but I really enjoy
Okay.
historical nonfiction. So that was a really good basis for me to write that world, which is a bit more there's a lot more angst. There's a lot more life and death, literal
Yeah,
situations. And then contemporary, I can just let my humor
yes.
just like fly.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit more restricted. For example, like turns of phrases you can't use in a lot of
Mhm.
Vikings because it didn't have that turn of phrase at that time. So it kind of slows down your kind of humor a little
Yeah,
bit. You can still have some, but I felt very freed with modern because it's I can speak how I speak and I can make
yes.
like jokes how I make jokes.
Yeah,
But it's just different. And actually I think that's probably why I can work on so many different projects is because I actually find it a creative challenge and
yeah.
a relief from different
That's
things.
quite a unique skill to have, though, as well, like Vikings to,
Yeah.
to then go into contemporary rom-com as well, like it's
I'm terrible for branding. Terrible for yeah, wouldn't recommend 0 out of 10. But yeah, it can be a challenge with branding, which is why they kind of my publisher suggested like a slightly different
Yes.
name that was a bit
Yeah, because 'cause you're
um
Lucy Morris and now you're Lulu Morris, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm still
Yeah.
Lucy, just generally. Like it's yeah, so the one is for like more serious historical and
Yes.
then like, yeah, and Lulu's a bit more fun and a bit more free, and
Yeah.
that reflects in the
Are you
writing.
gonna keep writing in both subgenres then? Are you gonna keep doing historical and
Yeah, because I do love writing historicals and I do love writing for Mills and Boon. But I think they're getting they've decided to cut like Vikings,
okay.
so it would only be Regencies
Yeah.
now. And I really enjoy Regencies. But I just kind of thought, do you know what? I need to have like as a working author, I need to have more eggs in more
Yeah.
baskets. So, I think I would rather, even though it's terrible for branding, I'd rather spread
Yeah.
out and diversify and try different things and see how they go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I still love writing them, so I wouldn't not write them, but I might have to tone down from like 3 books ago.
Yeah, I was gonna, because how do you find it quite natural to flip? Like, so are you able to write a few books at the same time, or do you find that you have to be in the headspace to be like, right, I'm writing contemporary romance now, and then
Yeah.
you'll go into your historical once that's completed?
Yeah, I struggle to change from project to
Yeah,
project, but I have to do it occasionally, and I did have to do it a couple of times last year. But drafting
yeah,
has to be one book, and it has to be the one story in the one
yeah.
genre, because I can't. It's even though I can flip subgenres, generally I can't do it while writing two at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how people. I don't have the mental
No.
headspace to remember what one is. Can barely remember what day is PE for my kids. Like, the long family trees of dukes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I have to drafting, I tend to just focus on one book, and I do it for about I finish a draft within 2 to 3
Okay.
months. And I have usually like a couple of weeks break before I start another
Yeah,
project. Um, Although sometimes in that couple of weeks I might get edits back,
yeah,
and then that'll be when I do it. But it's a lot of, actually, this is where my previous job comes really into handy, because like I'm a bit of an
yeah,
organizer. So I very stay on top of like scheduling, and I've already scheduled this
yeah.
year.
It's good
So
though.
I working on when, and even having little gaps for like, oh, I possibly will have edits for this by then.
Yes,
And
yeah. Do you give yourself a break as well? Because obviously, when you work for yourself, it's quite hard, isn't
Mm.
it, to switch off or to be like, right, I'm going to have holiday now. And do you give yourself that break in between? Like,
I've learned that
yeah,
lesson, because I felt very burnt out at the end of 2025, this year just gone. I finished my final piece that needed to be handed in mid
yeah,
November. And I could have just immediately started on the next project, but I just went, no, do you know what? I need a break.
yeah,
And Christmas is December's
oh,
a
yeah,
write off,
yeah,
isn't it? It's just like, what is even the point? So I've made it so that I'm starting back at work yesterday,
yes, yeah,
and instead of starting back at work, I actually cleaned out my cupboards in my kitchen. I'm in avoidance. I'm in
yeah,
avoidance now. Yeah, like I be starting work now this
yeah.
week.
It's hard though, because I'm the same as you. Like, I took some time off over Christmas, and your brain almost kind of, I don't know. I when I had to come back to work and then think about the podcast as well, I was like, what day is it? And what am I doing? I was like, come on, like, get your head in the game,
Yeah,
like, back into it again. And it does take a little bit of time to get going, because I think I was like you, last year was so busy that I think I was just going a million miles an hour. And then I gave myself, like, I released the last episode of season 1 of the podcast. I was like, right, okay, I can have a bit of a break now. And I think my body
yeah,
just like shut down a little bit. And it was like, you've just been
yeah,
going so fast. And then it was like, okay, I went the other way. Started to get a bit sick, but I was like, okay, it's fine. And I'm like, right now, okay, let's hit 2026.
yeah. I notice it with like sickness and
Yeah,
things like that. You suddenly start having like colds that like knock you down for
yeah,
6.
yeah,
And that's when you kind of realize, like, I am really pushing myself too
yeah,
much
yeah,
here. Did feel like that last year. So I've kind of taken it that I've got less books to write this year. So I've kind of planned
yeah,
ahead and kind of said, got less books to write. And also because I want to give the books that I do write some good time
mhm,
to get out there and market
yeah,
them. It's getting to the point where certainly there was a couple of Mills and Boone that I'm ashamed to say they released, and I was like, oh God, I really should
yeah,
promote this. And then this like half-hearted panic promotion of
yeah,
them, and I just thought I didn't give them the what they deserved, really.
yeah.
So Yeah, so I think that needs to be as part of my actual working life. I hate to say it, ugh, but I have to kind of actually put in marketing
Yeah.
and that sort of. I know very few authors that love
I
marketing and social
know.
media with passion, and I'm certainly not one of those that love it with a passion. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing on it. I'm bumble around.
It's hard as well because a lot of authors that I've spoken to have said, like, especially if they've been in the game a long time, have said now
Mm,
that like they used to have big budgets for marketing and obviously that's been reduced and a lot of it is now put on yourself. And then it's kind of like,
yeah,
okay, well, I've got to take that as a job. And when you've never maybe worked in
yeah.
that industry before, it's hard. And it's hard to navigate social media, isn't it? And stay up to date with it. I mean, with the dating pack that's coming out, um, what's kind of how are you handling that? And are you going to be doing like traveling around to bookstores? How are you going to promote it?
I'm dead excited about it actually because with my Mills Moon are lovely. They're great at distribution, but their distribution, it tends to be like sailing direct to
Yeah.
customers. Especially the model in like North America is very kind of direct to customers first. Um which is great, but you don't really see them a lot in
Yeah.
bookstore like bookshop. So I'm so excited with the dating pack because it is going to be in bookshops and you know it's thrilling to kind of go into a Waterstones and say that you know my book's going to be
Yeah.
released in January, and I said to my local one, which is like
Yeah.
Lakeside, said, is there any chance like I could come in and sign some like books? And honestly, the women there were so lovely and
Oh,
enthusiastic. They were like, oh well, yeah, of course we can. What sort of event would you like? And now it's snowballed into like book launch party,
love it.
um with like on a Friday the 16th of Jan, if anyone's in the area, at
Amazing.
6 to 8 p.m. And yeah, it's just going to be fabulous. It's going to be like signing books, but like popping some champagne. I'm going to do some gift
Yeah.
bags, and like anyone who buys a copy, they can have a gift bag as well. It just is, it's really exciting. And I kind of have plans. Like I've also arranged to go to um book love
Yeah.
stories, I think. Um and like, yeah, there's a couple of now romance only bookshops in
There
London,
are,
which
aren't
is
they?
great.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm going to go. I think I've got an event in 2027 with Happily Ever After, and then I've got, yeah, Manchester's Love Stories, etc. in the year as well. So I'm just like I'm booking things left,
Yeah.
right, and centre because like I just want to really give it a good,
Yeah. It's exciting.
good.
Yeah, I love the cover by the way, and I
Oh
was reading the synopsis. So it said kind of do you want to give a little bit of detail about
yeah,
what the book's about? But is it a little bit a cross between Bridget Jones and I can't remember what else? It was something else. But I'll let you. You're the
yeah.
author,
Oh
so
my cracking cross. It's it's like Bridget Jones meets, and I think it's something with you or
yeah.
something.
What did I read? Meets the idea of
Uh,
you, is it?
the Idea
Yes.
Review, which I have watched, is fabulous. It's basically a kind of celebrity romance with Anne Hathaway, who's not the celebrity. She's like a single mum who's just been like
Yes,
divorced.
I love that.
Yeah,
No, I
and then she
watched that
meets this
movie
hot rock
recently.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, which is funny. I was like, I wrote it so long ago, so I'm like, it wasn't inspired by that. But it's so basically there's plus size Ellie, who's an ordinary nurse who her dream is to basically move out of her wonderful but incredibly aren't families all challenging
Yeah.
family. How she just desperately wants to move out. But the person that she was going to move in with, her best friend, has had a kind of midlife crisis at 30, as you
Yeah.
do. a- And she's decided to move to
Yeah.
Australia. So she is leaving to Australia, Hannah is. And then Ellie has now got no deposit to buy her flat her dream. So she's very down in her dumps, but she goes out and decides to send Hannah off in the best way possible. So they go out in London. Meanwhile, there is Alex, who is a hot celebrity from Hollywood who is part of the King dynasty. They're like this royal family of actors that are kind of, very
Yeah.
exciting. And he's decided he's going to forge his own path, and he's going to become a director of, like, a theatre director of swanky plays in the West End. He's like leaving that behind. But he's also is a bit heartbroken because he has his brother has decided to basically marry his
Oh
ex.
God.
So, and his ex got he was cheated on by his ex with his
Oh.
brother. So no. But somehow, as it happens with Hollywood, somehow the kind of stories that are going out about him are all negative about him, saying he's toxic, saying he like was a nasty kind of boyfriend and all this. So he's getting a lot of heat and a lot of bad press. Anyway, so there's Ellie and Hannah trying to have the best night ever, but the best night ever, unfortunately, has been taken up by Alex's, you know, release party. So they decide to gate crash it because they're determined to have a nice
Yeah.
picture on the roof terrace in this like swanky place in London, and that's where they meet Alex. And it all kind of drunkenness ensues, and then he ends up like staying at her house, just because he's so drunk he can't remember where his hotel is, and then the paparazzi see them. So all of this like shenanigans ensue, and in the end he makes an indecent proposal about how she should be his fake girlfriend
Oh.
to take the heat off him and go to his brother's new wedding with his
Yeah.
ex
Love
in
it.
the Bahamas. And she'll also get like a flat deposit as well. So it all works it out
Yeah.
nicely for everyone. And they've become good friends, so why not? But yeah, but unfortunately, they fall in love. Or is it? So yeah, so that's the kind of
It
the
sounds
plot.
amazing.
Yeah, so it's like a fake dating, celebrity and plus size
Yeah.
heroine, and yeah, fun.
Brilliant. I bet you had fun writing that. And it's yeah. I can I mean, both of those movies I love anyway, and I think most people do. It's so interesting that you wrote it before the Anne Hathaway movie came out. It's like
Yeah, I know they ripped me off.
yeah,
How?
yeah. Um do you know what? I love those kind of books because I was saying this like to a few authors previously. Like I love rom-com. I'm a huge rom-com fan as well. Anything romantic as well. Because I can immerse myself, I can step into a completely different world, right? And I do really love
Yeah,
the ones when there's celebrities in there because I mean, I've got kids and I've got a partner and stuff, but you know, I think it just normalized a little bit more that, people can end up with these
yeah. It's. I
individuals
mean,
that maybe aren't people that are working in a
yeah,
shop down the street from you, but we put
yeah,
these celebrities on a pedestal, but actually they're just like us, they're human beings, right? And
yeah.
you know,
With their own flaws and their own
yeah,
foibles.
yeah,
Yeah, and their own insecurities. And I think that was what I really liked playing with this, because um Ellie is plus size, and society is telling her all the time, like every day, that she should be insecure
yeah,
about how she, but actually, and then Alex is the opposite. Alex is like, this Greek
yeah,
god, and society tells him that he's perfect, but they're still finding fault with him. And it's that sort of thing. You can't win either
yeah.
way. But the thing is, like, Ellie has loads of confidence and is really positive, and he finds that so like
Mhm.
charming, and he falls in love with her because of that. And I think what's really nice is that though they're so different, they're actually like very similar. They've got their similar insecurities and similar things kind of lurking
Yeah,
within that are back, and making them a bit doubting that happily ever after could happen for
yeah,
them. And I love playing that, and like
yeah,
the I think the celebrity aspect of it as well just makes it so fun, because it's like, it's if you've got some January blues and you're a bit fed up of like freezing Norfolk,
Yes.
there's like a nice Bahamas set romance just for you. So yeah, so I like that, and I like traveling and going to different places. So I like building
Yeah.
that in well. Like the second book, it follows Hannah in Australia.
Ooh.
So that's kind of like I'm going to be always doing like different settings and things
Yeah,
like that.
I love that. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, where do you get your inspiration from? Like, what like,
Yeah.
where do you pull it from?
Oh, just do you know what's really funny? And people always ask me this, and ideas aren't my problem. It's the kind of execution. So ideas aren't my problem, and you get them from
Yeah,
everywhere in any way. I think also that's why it is important to have some time to relax and to refill the well, because like in December I read like 6 books
yeah,
and it was like fabulous, and I haven't read books consistently for a long time, and it's, you know, you get ideas not directly from the books, but you kind of like going into another world, and then watching TV and film and traveling
yeah,
and just like living your life is what kind of gives you the little nuggets of
yeah,
ideas. And actually, funnily enough, it was talking about a Bahamas holiday that initially got me thinking about because they I think they said something like just very we were talking about like there's a piggy island where they're like just inhabited by
oh, wow.
pigs, which is lovely. And people go and see it. And on their yachts, they'll like
Nice.
pull up on their yachts, go and see the pigs and feed them. And that just kind of made me laugh,
Yeah.
just this like idea of like these pig celebrities that like all these like millionaires and billionaires are like getting their super
Yeah.
yachts kind of and just to kind of see the pigs on the like
Oh,
I just thought it was hilarious. So I thought, oh, that's a great setting.
yeah,
And then I think when you start thinking of, oh, these super yachts, who's on these super yachts? And then it's just like
yeah,
constantly asking, like anyone who ever wanted to write, I would just be like, just say, like, keep asking questions, like in your head, just be like, oh, but who would be on that yacht? And what would they be doing? And why would they be here? And what are they like? And just keep asking those questions. And then you kind of get like, you make up little answers
yeah,
for them, and it like, how the story kind of
yeah.
evolves.
'Cause
I mean,
okay, I was gonna say, 'cause you
yeah,
say
no,
you
sorry,
don't plot, right? So as you're
no.
writing, do these ideas start coming to you and transpire, or do you already have a lot of those ideas already before you put it down on paper?
I mean, I have like fragments. So like I'll have like scenes. I used like, especially when I first started writing, like I think my first ever book, I just imagined I think I was reading around the area of Vikings, and I was reading an archaeological study on like a deliberately sunk
Yeah,
Viking ship. And then it just made me think, oh, I bet that's really dramatic. Can imagine a sinking ship and a
yeah,
shipwreck, and who would be on that shipwreck, and where were they going, and what was their life going to be like? And that was my first book, just kind of thinking about that idea of a shipwreck. Um, but yeah, no, I don't outline. I try to
yeah,
outline. I make a plan, I look at the plan, I scrap the plan. So yeah, I do a lot of that. It's a bit of in between. I know I like to decide my characters at the
yeah,
start, like to decide kind of a general setting or where it's going. And then I have like kind of like a car driving in the dark, like you kind of see like things lit up in the
mhm,
distance that you're like, okay, and I'd like them to do this eventually, and I'd like this to
yeah,
happen, and this. And then a lot of the time the characters really um decide for you where it's going, because if they've got like a flaw that they or like a fear
yeah,
that they need to overcome, then that actually plays part of the
yeah.
plotting. um yeah, you can't. I think that's where I went wrong with my first book. It was just vibes. So you you actually need to have characters that have a
Yeah,
journey. So you need
yeah,
a journey. So and that's the characters decide that for
mhm.
me, and that's how I work. But my outlines are hilarious, and like thank God for my editors being every single one, both at Mills and Boon and at Canelo, have been so lovely about like literally I'll send them a pitch. So I'll be like, so I'm thinking of doing a shipwreck. So basically it's persuasion, but with long ships was one of my book like pitches
Yeah.
to my editor. And she was like, "Oh, great. So just send that to me when it's ready." And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So whereas like some people have to like send them like a whole synopsis before
Yeah.
they pen to paper, and like I'm just like, oh my God, that would spoil it for
Yeah.
me, because if I'd written the whole book out as a synopsis, I'd just be like, oh, do I have to write it
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. It becomes a bit of a
Like,
chore, doesn't it, when you can keep that kind of inspiration
yeah,
and
that's how I work. But like, obviously, there's no right or wrong.
no, and do you know what? I think speaking to so many authors, everyone has their own path, and I think one thing that everyone has in common is that they've just taken that step to do it, and they've believed in themselves, and then they've found their way eventually, whether that's through an agent, through a publisher, through joining an association, building their network, like, and then yeah, it's looked very different, but ultimately they're at the same end goal as everybody else, and that's
Yeah,
they've been published, and it's interesting to see now that yeah, people are taking that step into writing in different subgenres as well, right? So
yeah,
putting their mind and, like you said, pushing yourself in that creative way to
yeah,
keep kind of learning and honing your skills and understanding the world is evolving and changing consistently, and that you've got to adapt with it, right, at the same time, and
yeah.
be able to put more work out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like market does change. So at the moment romanticy is
Mhm.
huge. But also like I do think I think that's why I'm leaning more towards the like contemporary rom-coms, is because um I I do love writing humor in my
Yeah,
books and things like that. And it's a nice change from kind of quite angsty um historicals. But, you know, everyone's different, and, I do yeah, it is kind of, you also have to have a bit of life
yeah,
experience as well. Like, I was talking to, a friend of mine the other day, and I was saying, "Oh, kind of part of me wishes I'd done writing sooner and had, like, just more
yeah,
confidence to do it sooner." And she was like, "Yeah, but then you wouldn't have had the experience that kind of, like, plays into your
yeah.
writing, that, like, helps it." So actually, yeah, you kind of need a bit of life experience as well. Well, I say that, and then there'll be loads of 20-year-olds like shouting, but they might have more life experience
Well,
than me.
maybe, maybe not. Different kind that
Yeah,
they've been brought up versus, yeah, where we might be at right now.
yeah. But I do think it was, yeah, I do love that. And I love that it's all like different avenues. Like I've tried getting an agent,
Yeah,
but I just find the whole process I find it quite daunting. And also I'd give up quite easily on it. So
yeah,
like a lot of the I've pitched out projects, and it's like quite long to hear back from agents and things like that. Or, you know, if you're very lucky, there'll be like a flurry of interest. I did have like a little bit of a flurry of interest when with the Dating
yeah.
Pact. Um, but in the end I was so impatient to like just sign
Mhm.
with the publisher that I just kind of
Yeah,
didn't really progress it very much. I think I do probably would like an agent eventually, but I also want the right type of
yeah,
agent as well that's right for me. Um, so yeah, so it's very difficult, isn't it?
yeah.
It's like but working like
Yeah, but it's that's
yeah.
interesting to hear that you don't have an agent, because I think that's, again, that's an eye opener for a lot of maybe aspiring authors out there, emerging authors who are trying to get in with an agent. Like, you can do it without having an agent.
Yeah. And I do think sometimes like some people get very disheartened, and they think that you know that if they don't get any interest from an
Yeah,
agent, that that's the end of their career, or like see agents as gatekeepers. I mean, they're not really gatekeepers. They're like business partners. That I view them as somebody that's like a business partner that will help you get
yeah.
contracts and good contract deals. And yeah, I would quite like someone looking at my contracts, because I just sign whatever they put and that's not
Yeah.
right. But so don't tell my publisher that. So yeah. So those sort of things, they are really useful. But I would also caution against like getting a bad agent.
Yeah.
Like it's better to have no agent. In my experience, and from talking to friends who've had bad
Mm,
agents, it's better to have no
yeah.
agent than because they're not selling your work well, they're not doing the best for
Yeah.
you, and then taking 15% of whatever you
Yeah.
earn. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have an agent. I know people that have sworn by their agents and they're the best things that they've ever,
Yeah.
the best business decision they've ever had. But it's not happened for me as
Yeah.
yet. And I've found that um I've had more interest from publishers than I have from agents.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Definitely.
So Mills and Boon, you don't need to
Yeah.
be
You just got to wait for
a
them to open their submissions, don't you? And then the second
yeah,
they
you just need to
receive.
keep an eye out on submissions and also like the RNA's one-to-ones. Like I think my editor, Emily, she wasn't open for submissions, but she did the
Yeah.
one-to-ones and then gave me her email to send it to directly. So there's other opportunities. And I know that you can do RNA one-to-ones, but there's other companies that do
Yeah.
one-to-ones as well. Like, and feedback is essential as well. So
Yes.
to yourself and keep going. But yeah, like you don't necessarily need an
Yeah.
agent. Like,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think the biggest, like, what you've said today, which is kind of stood out again, is you joined the RNA, right? And that has had a lot to do with your success because you put yourself out
yeah.
there as well. You've made the effort to join an association, to do a lot of those one-on-ones. And I think that's really crucial as well, to have that network, to invest in yourself.
Oh, like to have like a team of people because like writing's such a solitary
Yeah.
like profession. I would go insane if I didn't have like my friends from the
Yeah.
RNA, and like my general writing friends, and the opportunities, but also the knowledge, like just even chatting to other authors and
Yeah.
then kind of saying, I'm a bit burnt out. What do you do to like fix that? Like, oh, this book's a nightmare. I don't know where it's going, why it's going
Yeah.
wrong. Just like chatting things out with people is
Yeah.
really, really good for like improving your
Yeah.
craft.
Yeah. I love that. So if you, I mean, a couple of things. So if you could give yourself a piece of advice, like your younger self, what would it be?
Um, wear sunscreen. Uh, yeah, what would I give? I would, I would say, characters and character
Yeah.
arcs, because they're essential to finishing a book.
Yeah.
So, and I would say consistency as well. Like, you don't have to write every day. Like, don't believe that nonsense. But what works for you, and just consistently do it to get that book
Yeah.
written. Because there's no point. I I know some like new authors that spent ages like promoting themselves and building up a following and stuff, and I think that does really work. But like then I asked them, I'm like, oh, so how's your book going? And they've only written like 20 or 30,000. I'm like, no, you got to finish the
Yeah.
book, love. Like,
Yeah. It's
you
like a
can't
novella.
got
Yeah.
it. Like, and actually, to be fair, that's something that I kind of learned was that like I would start a lot of
Yeah.
books, finish them, and you really do have to get through, like slog through that like squidgy
Yeah.
middle part, like that lackluster end to write the end, and then you can edit it, and that's where the magic
Yeah.
happens in my opinion. Like, but then I am like I don't write an outline, so but yeah, but for me, finishing the book and then you can do the magic of editing, and then don't worry about
Yeah.
it. You can't edit a blank
No,
page, as the goddess, I think it's Nora Roberts, the goddess Nora Roberts said. So yeah, you can't
I
do
love
that.
that. And what about what's one kind of biggest challenge that you've overcome?
hmm I think
Mhm.
balance is really hard. Like, and like making this sounds like a bit weird, but like allowing yourself to be
Hmm.
professional. For ages, I was a
Yeah.
hobbyist and like was starting books and writing them very secretly on my laptop and things like that. Um, and then actually, when I became when I got my contract, I allowed myself to actually see it as a profession and a
Hmm.
job. And I got myself an
Yeah.
office. And I mean, again, privileged, but like get yourself a nice desk and a nice
Yeah.
chair and like even a bedroom and see it as a job and see it also as like you can still do a job that is lovely and creative and inspiring, but you also have to see it as a job. So you kind of have to get yourself your bum on seat and writing those words. And also, you know, when people say, oh, come for lunch and blah, blah, blah. And if you've got a deadline, you've just got to say, I've got to work. I've
Yeah,
got to work.
I love that,
So
yeah, 'cause when I
yeah,
first, spoke to Pippa Roscoe, actually, that's one thing she said that everyone thinks that just 'cause you're an author, it's not a proper job, so they'd be like, "Oh, can you go and do
uh,
this for me, and can you go and do" and she said that she had to sit there and be like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna start telling people that I've got a meeting or I've got something else,"
yeah,
and that gave her the boundaries of, "Okay, I can actually do my work now without people constantly asking me
yeah.
and not feel kind of, yeah, that it's not a profession and yeah, it's not a hobby.
Like,
You're
uh,
making money, you're working probably harder than a lot of other people out there. And yeah.
but the kids that like my kids have had to learn that like when I'm working and I'm on
Yeah.
deadline and like even my daughter now who's like 11 will say, oh, like, can we do such and such? And I'll be like, oh no, because I'm on deadline. So now she's like, she'll sometimes be like, can we do such and such? Oh, you're on deadline, yeah. So yeah, I think you've just kind of got to give yourself that kind of credit,
Yes.
and allow yourself to see it that
Yeah,
way.
I think so. So the Dating Pact, when is it out?
Yeah. So Dating Pact is out on the 15th of
Oh,
Jan.
not long.
I know. So get your hot couple now. So yeah, that's it's very exciting. So 15th of Jan for the Dating Pact.
Amazing. And where can
It's
they
your
get it from? So you mentioned Waterstones.
yes.
Where else can they?
Oh, you can get them anywhere. So they are available on
Yeah.
ebook and Audible. I'm so excited. I've never had an Audible version before. So yeah, so I've got an ebook, a normal book you can get from
Yeah.
anywhere, any book. And also you can get it on Audible. So
Yay.
very exciting. I've got one of the ladies, one of the actresses from
Have
Bridgerton
you?
doing the
Who have you got?
yeah. Yeah, so I've got the do you know the Madame Marvel,
Yes.
the French
Yes,
is
she's
actually
doing it.
yeah, she's Ellie. And then I've got a guy called I think I can't remember his name, Josh somebody, but he's been in like loads of he's kind of like a professional voice actor. He's got a gorgeous
Oh,
husky voice. So I was dead pleased when I picked them and they were available. I was like,
yay! I love that. Yeah, because Bridgerton's coming out again soon, isn't it? Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah, so very
and then you're on social media, so you're on Instagram.
yeah. Yeah, I'm at Lulu. I think it's at lulu.morris.author. One is in
Lulu.morris.author, you were right, yeah.
so good at this marketing lark. Really, it's just all about self promo me. Uh, yeah, and if anyone is around on the 16th of January in Waterstones Lakeside, then come get yourself a book and a goodie bag. So
Yay,
yeah.
love it. Well, I've absolutely loved to I feel like, again, your story is constantly evolving and there's so much more to come, so I'm definitely going to be following, and I can't wait to read this book because it's right up my alley.
Oh,
So I'm very
uh,
excited for you, and I know it's going to be a huge success. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I've absolutely loved chatting to you, and I know, yeah, everyone will love hearing it as well.
oh, you've been a delight.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Thanks, Lulu.